Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're on a mission that's really tailored for anyone in the Mid-Atlantic. We're looking into the world of rail safety, but with a very specific, very local lens.
Which is so important. It's a great example of how a big national safety strategy actually makes it down to the street level. You can't just, put up a generic sign and call it a day.
Not at all. And every state has its own quirks, its own geography.
Exactly. Every single one demands a custom approach.
Absolutely. So our deep dive mission today is to unpack a major new initiative focused entirely on the first state, Delaware. We've got the sources right here, and they detail a really powerful new partnership.
The headline here is big for the state.
It is. The Delaware Safety Council, let's call them the DSC, has officially partnered with the national nonprofit Operation Lifesaver, Inc., or OLI, to launch Operation Lifesaver Delaware.
And that partnership is key. It basically centralizes all the specialized rail safety resources for the entire state. The DSC is really stepping up, becoming this hub.
Okay, let's unpack this. What does it mean for them to be the hub?
It means they're taking the lead. They're adapting, decades of national expertise and making it work for Delaware specifically. It gives residents one reliable place to go for this vital info.
So the goal is to get the right message to the right people. Whether you're a truck driver in Newcastle County or just, walking near the tracks down in Kent County.
That's it. And that geographic contrast is the whole reason this is necessary.
So let's start there. The rationale.
Yeah.
Why does this need to be so specialized?
Well, like you said, it's the infrastructure. We tend to think a train track's a train track, right?
Sure.
But the risk profile, it just changes so drastically. It depends on population density, traffic, even the age of the crossing itself.
And when you look at Delaware, it's like two different worlds. The sources highlight this immediately. You have Newcastle County up north.
Right. Very busy lines, heavy commuter traffic, lots of commercial freight. Those are complex urban crossings.
An environment that needs, I imagine, extreme vigilance.
Massive vigilance. But then you go south to Sussex and Kent counties, and the whole picture just flips.
You get these rural rail lines.
Exactly. And they're often used less frequently, which, can create its own kind of problem, a false sense of security.
That's an interesting point. I mean, is it fair to assume that a quieter rural track is actually less risky? Wouldn't this kind of tailored training be, overkill for a line that sees one train a day?
That's the logical question to ask, but the data really suggests otherwise. The risk isn't just about how many trains go by.
It's about predictability.
It's about unpredictability and unfamiliarity. In rural areas, you might have less advanced warning signs, different lines of sight because of trees, and you have different vehicles.
Like big farm equipment?
Huge agricultural machinery. The training for a farmer on a combine is a completely different world from training a commuter in an SUV.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
So by hosting Operation Lifesaver Delaware, the DSC is basically the main resource now for bridging that gap between the two worlds.
Precisely. They have the official mandate to localize the message. And that's always the first step.
So we get the why. The local need is clear. Let's get into the how. The structure of the program. The sources lay it out very clearly. It's built on a classic safety model.
The 3 E's.
The 3 E's of rail safety: education, enforcement, and engineering.
And that framework is really the gold standard for any serious safety program. It accepts that accidents are complex. They rarely have a single cause.
So you have to tackle it from all sides.
You have to. If you ignore one of the E's, the other two will eventually fail.
Okay, let's break them down. First one, education. This is about teaching people, drivers, pedestrians, residents, about the actual risks in their specific environment.
Right. This is the foundation. It's changing behavior. It's making sure people know that, for instance, modern trains are incredibly quiet.
Much quieter than you'd expect.
Or that a freight train, a big one, can take over a mile to stop. Education is where the DSC takes all that proven OLI material and, makes it Delaware specific.
Which brings us to the second E, enforcement. This means working with local law enforcement on the ground.
Right, the accountability piece. And this can be tricky because you have all these different jurisdictions.
A city police force versus a county sheriff.
Exactly. And that's why the OLI partnership is so crucial. They bring in standardized protocols and training for officers. They teach them not just the rules, but how to safely manage a rail corridor.
So everyone's on the same page.
It reinforces that the rules are serious, they're non-negotiable.
Okay, that leaves the third E, which sounds like the most expensive one, engineering. the physical stuff.
It often is. This is about physical improvements, better signage, stronger barriers, smarter crossing designs, making the environment itself safer.
So in Delaware, that could mean upgrading an old crossing down in a rural area.
Absolutely. Or improving sightlines near a busy intersection in the city, making sure the urban crossings have the absolute latest barriers and sensors.
So education, enforcement, and engineering all working together.
Yes, and if we connect this to the bigger picture, this comprehensive approach is what takes a program from just, an awareness campaign to real sustainable safety reform.
It makes the whole structure feel incredibly robust.
Oh.
But here's where it gets really interesting for me. The level of detail within that first e-education.
Oh, yeah.
The DSC isn't just doing a generic safety talk. They are providing free, tailored resources for very specific groups. The customization is almost surgical.
That's the word for it. And that's what turns this from just a public service announcement into a strategic intervention. They've identified the most vulnerable groups and built content just for them.
The sources outline 4 main target audiences. First up, professional drivers.
And we're talking CDL holders, people driving massive trucks through those commercial corridors.
And within that group, there's an even more specialized program for school bus drivers. It's called Decide Smart, Arrive Safe.
Which is so critical. I mean, when a school bus crosses a track, the margin for error is literally zero. That training has to cover vehicle weight, stopping distances, even how to evacuate kids in an emergency.
Way beyond what a normal driver needs to know. Okay, next group, students and youth.
This is all about prevention. Driving home that one simple message. Tracks are for trains.
Not for playing. Not a shortcut home.
It's a direct attack on rail trespassing, which is a persistent and so often fatal problem. By making this a regular part of education, they're aiming for a long-term cultural shift in behavior.
That's smart. Then you have emergency responders.
Yes, specialized training for police, firefighters, EMTs.
What's so special about a rail incident for them?
The complexity is off the charts. Imagine a collision with a tanker car carrying hazardous materials on a live track. Your normal car crash protocol is useless.
Right.
They need to know how to manage an active rail line, who to talk to at the railroad, how to handle hazmat situations where every second counts.
Okay, and the final group is broad. Community organizations.
This ensures total saturation. They offer free presentations to anyone, civic groups, senior centers, local businesses.
So a local library or a Rotary Club could call them up?
A book club. It doesn't matter. They're making it accessible to everyone, ensuring that every single resident has a chance to hear this life-saving information.
We focused a lot on the Delaware side of this, which makes sense, but it all rests on the foundation of the national organization. Let's talk about that backbone. Operation Lifesaver, Inc.
OLI, yeah. They provide the decades of proven materials, the data, the best practices that the DSC is now adapting. OLI is, they are the nationally recognized leader in this field. Their track record is impeccable.
They started back in 1972. What does more than 50 years of experience and data really bring to the table here?
It brings deep, deep insight into human factors. Early on, a lot of safety work focused on mechanical failures.
A broken gate, a signal malfunction.
Right. But OLI's data confirmed over and over that the vast majority of collisions and deaths are because of human error.
Distraction, misjudging a train's speed.
Or just intentional trespassing. So their 50 years of experience means the programs they've built aren't based on guesswork. They are laser-focused on known human behaviors and vulnerabilities.
So people in Delaware are getting strategies that have been tested and refined for decades, but now expertly applied to their own local roads and tracks.
That synergy national data meeting local delivery is what makes this partnership so powerful.
And for anyone listening who wants to see that bigger picture, all the national resources are at oli.org.
oli.org, a fantastic resource.
So what does this all mean for you? Well, it means that if you live or work or even just drive in Delaware, the state now has this centralized, specialized program designed to reduce rail incidents.
And it's using that strategic 3Es, model education, enforcement, and engineering.
The key takeaway is that the program gets it. It knows a crossing in Wilmington is not the same as a crossing in Dover. The information is relevant, it's credible, and it's designed for your community.
And this isn't just some abstract policy. This is an active resource.
It is. The Delaware Safety Council is actively encouraging all Delaware residents, if you run a business, a school, a community group, to schedule one of these presentations.
They are free and they are ready to be used.
So if you're interested, If you want to get involved or schedule one of those tailored presentations from Operation Lifesaver Delaware, we want to make sure you have the info.
Okay, the website is 302safety.org. That's the number 302safety.org.
And there's a phone number, too.
Yes, you can call them directly at 302-276-0660.
That's 302-276-0660.
That's the one.
Okay, so as we wrap up, think about this. The whole system, the 3S, it relies so much on that first E, on education, to prevent a tragedy before it happens.
So consider this. If the single most frequent cause of these incidents is human error, how many lives could be saved by simply making sure every driver in your town attends just one single, free, customized safety presentation? The power of awareness is really the engine driving this entire thing.